All right. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Kyrian Jenkins yet again. And before I start, I just wanted to say thank you. We recently crossed 200 subs, so I really appreciate it. And we're gonna keep the ball and grind rolling throughout the year. All right, boys. Okay, so what I want to bring you today is a kind of a review or a rant of the current state of Unholy DK, kind of like the one I did before the start of the expansion, but the only difference is that the season has started and we're halfway through it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So fasten your seatbelts and buckle up as we take a deep dive into the current state of Unholy DK. So what exactly is Unholy? Unholy DK is the most interesting spec among the three. Blood is just insane, self-heals and tank. And Frost DK is just big crits and a Mongo burst. And that's pretty much it, right? With when it comes to Unholy though, Unholy has a combination of pet damage, pet abilities, shadow damage from ourselves, and we've got insane heal absorbs, that is necrotic strike. Well, insane for the most part at least. Definitely not insane right now. But okay, so yeah, that's what Unholy brings to the table mostly. Okay, I'm gonna list out the pros for you guys who are new to PvP or who just wants to learn Unholy. The pros start from high sustained damage with your pet disease, with a big burst. You've got a big burst, and the control through chains of ice, death grip, asphyxiate, and your pet kick and pet suns. All right, so you've got a good control with chains, and you got a toolkit that's very nice to set up your burst, your big goals to say. So those are the ones. That's pretty much it. And as far as the cons side go, the cons are you have little to no mobility to begin with outside of chains of ice and grips. That's advanced, helps a bit, but it's very situational. So yeah, and you have very limited defensive CDs, and you are weak versus other melee classes. Red Paladin is the strongest melee class that you have a chance against on, because Dome of the Ancient Shadow with AMZ is just so big to counter. Other than that, Warriors and Windwalkers are just gonna destroy you, because your healing doesn't do shit, man. Our healing doesn't do shit, man. I'm sorry. Like, if you pop your pet sack and I don't know, your sacrificial pact that gives you a necrotic strike debuff, yeah, that's not gonna sustain you at all through a big setup from a warrior or a windwalker. So yeah, and the last two things are you have a very easily kited or outplayed CDs that are Abomination and Dark Transformation, and with your Apocalypse schools, those are easily CC'd by Frost Mage. All it takes for him is one Ring of Frost and it's over. And on top of that, the last one is you have low haste due to it being the start of the expansion. So you need more faster GCDs, and the game is just in your favor right now. So those are pretty much the cons. Okay, so current state of DKs, let's go. So DKs right now are pretty decent or subpar, just like I said before. I guess there's a huge difference between subpar and decent, but let's say yeah, subpar, mediocre. That's where you're at. It's not that you are necessarily very weak, it's just how the other classes are so strong, like Windwalker damage and Warrior damage, along with his toolkit. Just for example, you try to burst someone, try to stack up your festering wounds for that sweet apocalypse or big necrotic strikes. Well, no, think again. He got intervened, and you stacked all of them to the warrior, who's impossible to be hit down in the first place, and he's already like in D stance or with his ignore pain. His ignore pain is a pain in the ass for DKs for sure. And on top of that, if you're trying to do your main burst on him, he's just gonna pop retaliation that has like the same CD as your other spells like Abomination and Unholy Frenzy. So good luck with that. So that enhances my point to where other classes are just that strong, that I don't know, that I don't know, with they have just other classes toolkit is just too good, man. Sure, I'm not calling for nerfs like nerf it to the ground, but and not make it unusable, but more of a just tune it down, man. Just make it easier for some classes, some very already underperforming classes like Unholy. That's one list to the bucket, you guys. It basically ruins our go, and with our low haste output and trying to build up goes, it totally ruins DKs already and immediately. By DKs, of course, I mean Unholy. And while all of this is going on, you gotta notice that the warrior is gonna pumping big damage, big mortal strikes, and condemn procs or whatever on you, and you're gonna have to be forced to pop your weak ass self-healings that'll barely be able to save you if you are lucky, that is. Even it's almost the same case for Windwalkers as well. So you start up the game inside with Abomination, you pop Abomination, Dark Transformation, you chain your enemies up, and you're ready for your big go. You stack up festering wounds, he sweeped you and all your pets immediately, and alright, this is how the scenario is gonna keep going. He sweeped you and your pets immediately, you trinketed, but your pets are not out. Remember, your burst, your main damage is still CC'd. And so you're waiting on them. You are waiting for the Windwalker to press Fist of Fury. Meanwhile, you're stacking up festering wounds and trying to gonna open with Apocalypse, and then there it is. He popped Fist of Fury. You stun him. Trinket immediately, and he's gonna port back. And meanwhile, your Abomination and all your pets that are summoned by you are gonna slowly chase him and never reach him because they're gonna somehow expire, or they're gonna, yeah, they're basically gonna expire, and then the monk will just run in and then do his overtuned damage on you with his another stack of Storm Ripping Fire. So you're basically screwed, and you are now forced to pop your weak ass defensive CDs that you have. So basically what I want to say is DK damage is easily countered, and I used Warrior and Windwalker as examples because above 1.9 CR, 2k CR, those are the comms that you're gonna see the most in 2s or 3s. I can guarantee you, if you queue 3s right now, the chances of you seeing a Warrior or a Windwalker are over 80% or more maybe. So yeah. Alright, so what we DKs need now is survival. Just survival, guys. I promise. If we have good enough survival, then Unholy is still viable. Because remember, if you remember back in Mists of Pandaria, Cataclysm, or any of those good PvP expansions, you'll notice that Unholy goals are always easy to be abused or counterplayed, but that's where your skill comes in, right? To be not easily counterplayed, that's your job, right? So yeah, so let's put our damage aside and let's take a look at our survivals. We need survivability to be increased And we can start with the Dead Strike healing nerfs that happened in BFA, the 50% decrease. That's a good point to start from there, and then maybe increase the Dead Coil healing by, I don't know, by a lot, because I really find it hard to see how the Dead Coil healing has more value over the already nerfed Death Strike. So Dead Coil costs 40 runic power and Death Strike costs 35 runic power. So, and Dead Coil, you can just only dish out like 2 off heals if you got max runic power, that is. And I guess with a proc of Death's Embrace 3, but then again, when you think about it, you can just get 2 Death Strikes off, and I don't know, 1 Festering Wound or pop 1 wound, and you got 3 Death Strikes available already. And I think the value is still high there, way higher than the Lichborne heals. It's just so hard to find the value, man. It also like comes up to a decision you have to make. Like, you have to make a setup of setting up 100 runic power only for your defensives. Hey, if this pally is gonna wings, then I'll save 100 runic power, be ready for that. And your Death's Embrace procs, and now you've got 3 Dead Coil Lichborne heals. I guess that's how the value can be, I don't know, justified. But right now, as of now, it's just Death Strike just is still so much better than Lichborne heals. And we've got Pet Sack that heals like 20% of our health, I guess, and it costs 20 runic power too. I don't know why they're trying to deplete us out of our resources this much, because let's check for a Red Paladin. Red Paladin has 1 Word of Glory. He can do 1 Word of Glory that costs 3 resources, and he can just heal himself to full or never think about healing himself again and just continue with his rotation or whatever, right? But we've got to build up runic power. We've got to build up all our runic power with our Arcedius line and hope for a Death's Embrace proc if we want a good Lichborne heal, or Pet Sack or Sacrificial Pack. Even if you combine all those, maybe you can get to 70-80% heal up, only for those to get blasted down again by the enemy damage, because you have no wall, right? You have no wall, and the enemy damage is gonna DPS you down, and your healer is gonna be in so much stress because you're gonna have the 50%, or I think that's the reduction from Sacrificial Pact, and your pet is gonna die as well from your sack. Even if you resummon it, it's gonna take like 3 seconds to function, and then yeah, that's pretty much all your resources, and you're gonna basically have to wait for your next go. If you, I don't know, manage to live somehow. Like, after popping all of those, if the warrior pops his avatar after, you're basically screwed, my man. I'm sorry. It's just unholy. So yeah, excuse me. So yeah, the problems with Unholy right now is basically survivability. Before, at the start of the expansion, it was we weren't able to kill anyone, and we weren't able to survive. Now we can kill anyone, but we can't survive. So remember, DKs are the glass cannon class Unholy DKs. We are not that tanky, but we can kill and we have good utility, right? That's the idea of Unholy DK. So yeah, survivability comes a long way, and that's what we need, guys. Tweet at the WoW devs, or I don't know, post at the forums, and shit, all the good stuff that could help us with a change. So the second and major thing we need is GCD changes. Yes, I've mentioned GCD and downtime a lot at this point of the video already. It's because it's very crucial for the DKs to have, I don't know, to min-max our abilities, I guess. So we basically need abilities like, okay, I'm gonna, first of all, we are all grateful that that's advanced is outside of the GCD. It's really handy, and but that's not enough. Okay, so we definitely need more spells that they're outside of the GCD, like Dark Transformation, Lichborne, and Death Grip. Or maybe even Abomination Slim or Asphyxiate. Okay, so I'll go in depth on why all of them make sense. Okay, let's start off with Dark Transformation. Dark Transformation is basically our burst or our 1 minute go, just like Divine Toll goes for Red Paladins or Spear of Bastion goes for Warriors. Yeah, just like that, especially if you pair it up with the Frenzied Monstrosity legendary. Dark Transformation is really good, but the problem is that it does nothing. Okay, you press a GCD and it does nothing except empower your pet. No effect, no debuff, no buff on you. I mean, just basic buff on you. Like when I say it does nothing, it's like it does no damage, direct damage to the enemy and shit. So it's basically a free button, and it feels really bad to press it. So it would be good if it was outside of the GCD. And I think, yeah, you can all probably agree that Dark Transformation should be out of the GCD. Like when the Shadowlands pre-patch rolled around, every class had like 1 or 2 spells removed from the GCDs. Like for Frost DKs, it was Pillar of Frost, and for Red Paladins, it was their Wings. For Warriors, Avatar, and just like that, we needed to. And I had no idea why DKs didn't receive any of those. Unholies, especially, Dark Transformation would be really great to be seen outside of the GCD. And I don't think it's that unreasonable. And we get to the second one, that's Lichborne. If you guys remember Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria days, Lichborne was outside of the GCD, so you can make a macro, and like you can make a macro that's gonna heal yourself with a Death Coil, and when you press that Lichborne heal macro, you basically heal once as soon as you press the Lichborne, which is really good for min-maxing or saving time, I suppose. Either way, Lichborne should be outside of the GCD, and this will help DKs a lot. And there's no reason for it not to be, right? This change happened when the Lichborne effect was tweaked around in BFA and now, so yeah, it makes more sense for it to be outside of the global cooldown. Okay, so we're gonna start with the third one, Death Grip. Death Grip is such an interesting ability because it can either be used offensively or defensively, depending on the situation you're dealt with. And it has no business being inside the GCD for this long and the life of this game. So it's clunky when you have to press it because all it does is grip someone, and it feels awkward when you are pressing it on your goals or when you're doing your setups. Really, it's like when you're tunneling both 2 DPSs and at the middle of the map, and there's Holy Paladin or this priest is just zerging back and forth between the pillar, and the moment he appears you cannot press it because you just got GCD'd and you have like 0.5 seconds left for it, and the priest is already pillared in and he's already healed his 2 DPSs who are going ham on your ass, right? So that's basically to save DKs from being clunky. That's much it. I don't have to describe it much. I think you get the gist. It's basically Death Grip inside GCD, too clunky. Okay, so we get to the maybe section of the GCD changes, where maybe I don't want to feel or like it's too demanding or asking for too much at this point, but it would be nice if Abomination Limb is outside of the GCD too, because well, why not, right? For more control or to make Unholy feel not clunky. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword, and which is why I put it under the maybe section, because let's say a Frost DK has it outside of GCD, maybe it may be kind of a little broken to say the least. Okay, so yeah, basically, Abomination Slim is like a candidate that should be out of GCD. And secondly, Asphyxiate too. Asphyxiate is, well, I just missed how it worked back in MOP. I think it was out of GCD. You just basically get to have your setups and then stun without having to waste GCDs and then just go ham. Yeah, I don't have much justification for that, which is why it's in the maybe section once again. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I want for the GCD changes as of now. Okay, I guess that's the end of the section of where I talk about the current state of Unholy. And now we're gonna jump into what's coming for Unholy in 9.0.5. Okay, so the patch 9.0.5 is coming soon, and guess what indie developer forgot about DKs again? Guess who? Yeah, you know. So, DKs aren't getting any kind of buffs or changes along with 905, but Covenant abilities are getting buffed, so it's an indirect buff, but a buff nonetheless, right? So, assuming you're playing Necrolord, just for how disruptive Abomination's Limb is, A-Bomb's Limb is gonna get changed with by a 3-second cast. It was 4 recently, so that's a little neat change, I guess. That one took too long before, so yeah. And it's gonna reduce your damage by 30% while you're channeling it, so you won't get killed, you won't get bursted or melted down while you're channeling it, and they don't have kicks. You can really time it and use it as a high skill cap move. You know, I'm just gonna show this clip where I 2v1'd a rogues. It's where he basically pressed blind, but I counter it with Fleshcraft, which leads me to get or land the kill. So check it out.
Blind. Evasion down. Cloak down. Shadow dance.
Also, there's some kind of a skill cap in it where you can just bait kicks for your disc priest or your other paladin, H paladin with a repentance, or Shami with a hex. You basically just press your Fleshcraft and then you get kicked, and now your healer can cast his CC for free. So that's yeah, that's pretty much it. So what's getting buffed too is the Kyrian ability. You know, the Kyrian ability for DKs. I don't know what you're doing really if you are playing a Kyrian DK. Like, the aesthetics don't match, and the spell is just trash, dude. I swear. Like, File doesn't do much. It's yeah, it doesn't do much really. The healing is subpar as well. You can't pick that Covenant because you want File, right? You want the juicy special ability. So what the special ability for Kyrian does is you just shoot them with a dot that reduces their damage by 5%, and they take some damage over time too, and that is gonna get buffed from 5% to 8%, and the damage is gonna get increased by a bit, not that gigantic or game changing, but they're gonna change it a bit. I see. It's just trash, man. Not worth it enough when compared to Necrolord's ability and how diverse and situational you can use on them. Like, let's take the Kyrian ability for example. You're not okay. So, let's say you pop your Kyrian ability on the Windwalker. It reduces his damage by 8%. But do you think that 8% damage decrease is gonna stop his overtuned damage from hitting you? I don't think so, man. That shit goes through like chamois walls. That's like, I don't know, 50-30% reduction. So the damage is subpar and the reduction is whack. And it's single target and it's inside the GCD, which I'm sorry, but DKs already have problems with GCDs. So basically, you're gonna it's trash, man. It's trash. I had to change my old DK that's already at Renown 22 back to Necrolord because of how bad it is. It has little to no importance, dude. Like, you're better off without pressing it the whole game so you can save your GCDs than rather press it, you know. That's how bad it is. Okay. That's pretty much for Kyrian, guys. If you guys are Kyrian fans, I'm sorry, and I hope they do some changes that's gonna make it viable or interesting, to say the least. Okay, so the last line of changes that I'm gonna go through is the Death Stew, DK ability from the Covenant of Night Fae, which is basically a modifier for the Death and Decay. Yeah, the effect is simply that every time you hit someone inside your Death and Decay, you get a 1% strength increase and 1% damage reduction. That stacks up to 8 times. Now it's changed in a way that it only has 4 stacks, but 2% increase for each, meaning that you will just be able to have a big go easier. And for the PvEers who just play PvP for fun, you're not at a disadvantage that much, really. I mean, you already played for fun, so yeah, it really isn't gonna matter. Okay, so I'm actually jealous because you guys get to experiment with the legendaries. For example, like you can play that Dead Coil damage increase along with Dead Strike increase, and every time you use those, it reduces your Death and Decay. Death and Decay cooldown, right? That seemed very pog, and it was actually my first legendary as my DK, but I took it only for the Dead Coil damage increase because the legendaries at the start of the expansion were poop, and I couldn't get my wrist legendary fast enough at the start. So yeah, basically it's everything is on you guys favor. Like Night Fae ability change, it's really good. You're just gonna have a faster, speedier go. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think I went through all of them. So one last thing I wanna mention too is the changes to reanimated Shambler. It had a proc rate for about 1.5. Now it's moved up to 1.75 and has a 5% damage increase. Either way, I don't think it's good enough for PvP. Nonetheless, I crafted that one a long time ago. It's sometimes good versus melee cleaves, TSG, warrior heals, warrior windwalker, and all that, but not really. You're just better off with frenzied monstrosities, my guys, unless you want to experiment. And yeah, that's up to you if you want to experiment and all, you know. Okay, so I guess there it is. We can close it, right? Okay, so if you're watching it till the end, I really appreciate it. Please do hit like if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell as well. And This is your boy again, Kyrian Jenkins. Unholy DK forever. Alright, peace.